Hello fellow stackers, 365 here, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, as you can see, it's going to be a very different video. This isn't going to be a video that every single person on this channel is necessarily going to enjoy watching, but the aim of this video is to show you my different investment vehicles. And again, I say investment vehicles very loosely because when you're investing in things that are speculative, as are Pokemon cards, it's a very risky game. So you want to try and find something that you actually enjoy collecting, because then if it doesn't go up in value over time, it doesn't matter too much because you've enjoyed picking it up as you've gone along the journey anyway. Now, before we go into the whole video, I want to start by saying I'm not a financial advisor. So anything I'm saying on today's video is not financial advice, especially when it comes to things like Pokemon cards. And like I said, speculative investments, if you can even call them investments. I really do not know what I'm doing here. I'm literally just picking up things that I like and things that I think may go up in value over time. So definitely do not copy anything I do, and don't take anything that I say on this channel as financial advice, because I'm definitely not a financial advisor. But let's get straight into the video. Now, the main purpose of this video is to try and draw new eyes to my channel, because there's going to be a number of people that don't even know about gold or silver, and they like collecting Pokemon cards, and they're searching Pokemon videos on YouTube, and then they stumble across this video, and then they look at some of my previous videos and they start learning about gold and silver. So that's the main aim. Whenever I do something that's a little bit off topic on this channel, the aim of it is to not only show my other kind of things that I collect, but mainly to try and draw in different eyes and different viewers to the channel, because it'll be very nice to convert people that don't even know about stacking precious metals, that only collect Pokemon cards, into looking into this stuff and potentially bettering themselves financially longer term. So what I've done is I've got all of my Pokemon card collection together. There are a couple of pieces that I can't find. I've got a couple of booster boxes that I've put into storage, and I've literally searched everywhere and I can't find them. It's already taken me a good few weeks, maybe even months, to gather this stuff together because it was all away in different storage locations. So there are a few things that I own that aren't in this collection, but this is pretty much everything that I own that's Pokemon based. Now, my main aim of the game when it comes to putting my money into anything tangible is to convert this stuff into something that potentially could go up in value over time, because we all know that this is losing value over time. So just to have this sitting in your bank is guaranteed to lose value over time. If you put £50 in your bank and you left it there for the next 10 years, this £50 will definitely not buy you what it does today, and that is due to inflation and the rate that they're printing money. Whereas if you put it into something tangible, then you have a higher chance, in my opinion, of not only maintaining some of the value of this fiat, but also potentially it could increase in value over time. Now, with Pokemon cards, it's very, very risky. With things like gold and silver, even if you're buying the more high premium collectible gold and silver, spot price of gold and silver over the last, say, 20 years or so, you can see that it has gone up in value over time. So even if you buy something that's a really high premium piece, you are still going to slowly see that piece rise in value just because of the gold and the silver content of that piece. The spot price naturally over time, over a long period of time, rises. So you are going to slowly, very, very slowly, depending on how much of a premium you paid, going to slowly catch up with that premium just because of the spot price rising. Whereas things like Pokemon cards, it's a lot more risky because you haven't got it made from something that's precious in the first place. These aren't made from precious metals, so they're not guaranteed to go up in value over time. It all depends on people's thoughts of Pokemon, basically, whether they still want to collect it in the future, whether people still want to go back and buy some of the older collections for nostalgia and all the rest of it. So that's kind of the disclosure part of this video out of the way. And I did want to spend a little bit of time on that part because I don't want people watching this video and assuming that anything I show on today's video is a great way to invest your money. You've really got to find something that you enjoy collecting, because then if it doesn't go up in value or you lose money, it doesn't matter because you've actually enjoyed collecting it over time. And I have enjoyed collecting this stuff over time because I used to play Pokemon cards back in the day when I was in school. So it's been quite enjoyable over the last, say, 3 years or so, picking up some of these pieces. But let's get straight into it. Now, I don't really know where to start. I haven't got a script. And like I said, I don't know a massive amount when it comes to investing in Pokemon cards. I've just kind of picked up things that I like along the way. But we're going to kind of just start by grabbing anything. Now this is a slabbed, sealed set of Pokemon cards. This is a McDonald's one, I believe. Does it say McDonald's on there? Yeah, McDonald's 25th anniversary, mint 9. It doesn't really matter what mint it is when you're buying sealed, slabbed cards, really. It doesn't really matter if it's a really good condition pack on the outside. Obviously, you don't want the pack all crumpled and everything like that, but even if you've got, say, a 7 in these, you're still getting some brand new cards that are unopened inside. Obviously, if you get a 9 or a 10, you're more likely to get better condition cards inside. But yeah, things like this are really, really speculative, because you're buying it in the hope that someone else is going to want to buy this in the future to potentially open up from this case and see what cards are inside. So things like this are just really, really speculative. And the main reason I got this was just something a little bit different. I think it's quite cool to have a sealed set of Pokemon cards. But yeah, really interesting, something a little bit different. Let's try and kind of move around the table. Now, there's a few bits here that I've actually brought for my son's birthday, just because he started getting into Pokemon cards over the last few weeks after I've been getting this collection out and showing it to him. So things like this definitely won't go up in value. They're mass produced and you can buy them anywhere. And I've basically just brought this to give him for his birthday. And there's a couple of other things on here that I've also brought to give him for his birthday. This little toy on the side here that sitting to the side. And also this collection of DVDs. These are all of the original Pokemon series. And again, there's lots of these knocking around. I don't think this will necessarily be a great investment, especially in the long-term future. Because in the long-term future, you probably won't even be able to watch DVDs on any devices. But yeah, it's still quite cool to have all of the very first editions of Pokemon. They're actually on Netflix at the moment. I've been watching them on Netflix. It's been quite interesting to watch them back. Now, this is a 25th anniversary Pokemon set. It's a Pikachu edition. You can see you've got a Pikachu toy. You've got some Pokemon cards in here. You've got a Pikachu V Max, one of the 2023, I believe. So a fairly new card there. And then you've got a couple of booster packs in the back. And then you've got another Pokemon card here as well. That one looks really cool. And you've also got some more booster packs in the back. Now, this is something that potentially could go up in value over time. It'll take quite a few years because at the moment it's still fairly new. You can still buy these brand new. So these will go up in value, if they are going to go up in value, once they're harder to get hold of, because you'll only be able to get them on the second-hand market. But this is a really cool box. You've got lots going on, and you'll see as this video progresses, my main interest is collecting Pikachu related things. Pikachu is my favorite character. He's one of the main characters throughout the whole of the series. And that is why I've mainly stuck to picking up Pikachu, because I enjoy the artwork on the Pikachu Pokemon cards. So like I said, even if they don't go up in value, I've enjoyed collecting them in the first place. Now we're going to leave this piece till last because that is a very, very interesting and exciting piece. But let's move on to this. This is a Charizard set. Again, similar to the set we've just seen over there, you get a couple of individual cards. You get 3 in this one by the looks of it. Or is that a 4th there? I'm not sure if that's stickers. And then you get some booster packs as well. And again, at the moment, I think these are still available to buy brand new. So this is more of a long-term hold. But again, it's a really nice box. You've got to be very careful. These are quite hard to store, and that is why sometimes it's very difficult when you invest in alternative investment vehicles, because these are much harder to store than, say, precious metals, for example. You can just buy a box and chuck this in it, and even if it gets chipped or anything, the metal content is still going to hopefully increase over time. Whereas something like this, if you just chucked it around and the box got ripped and all started falling apart, straight away you're going to lose value when you come to resell this. So you've got to be very careful when you're storing these away. Wrap them up in bubble wrap, chuck some packing peanuts in their box as well, put it in a big old box, wrap it loads of times and store it somewhere that is nice and dry. It's not going to get damp or anything like that. But if we move around the table, I've also got a little box here, 6 booster pack box. I think I actually picked this up on holiday. I think I was on a stag do. My brother was there. I went into a shop and I saw it on the counter. So I don't even know if it's legit, but I saw it on the counter and I picked it up and he went, "Why are you buying Pokemon cards? You're like 30 years old." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not buying it to undo. I'm buying it to chuck away into storage and then see if it goes up in value over time as a bit of an experiment." So yeah, this is one of the newer sets. Still got the wrapper on it. So I got that as well. But moving on to the more exciting and more interesting pieces, we've got my slabbed collection here. We've also got some more slabbed ones here. So let's go straight into the slabbed Pokemon cards. Now this is where, in my opinion, you're going to get the real value over a long period of time. You want to try and pick up cards that, like I said, you enjoy picking up, because then it's not essential they go up in value. But PSA is one of the most popular grading companies when it comes to Pokemon cards. When you're picking up graded gold and silver, MS70 is the highest grade you can get. And similar to Pokemon cards, they have different grades, and Gem Mint 10 is the highest you can get in a PSA graded card. Now, in my opinion, PSA are the most popular grading company. There's another company called Beckett or Breckett, something like that. It begins with a B. But in my opinion, the PSA are the ones to stick to. They're the most popular ones. And every single one of these PSA has its own QR code. And if you scan that QR code, and what I'll do is I'll actually show you how it works. So if you get your camera on your iPhone and you scan the QR code on here and you go to the website, it will actually show you the card. It will have the identification certificate there, which should match up with this one on here. And as you scroll down, there's actually an app that you can get as well. But as you scroll down, it will tell you all about the card. 2020, it was released. It's a Japanese series. You can tell that by the back of it as well. It's got a different back. It tells you the card number. It tells you the rough price that this is reselling for. So $40, this particular one. And it tells you the population that are in PSA Gem Mint 10 slabs. So you can see that there's 1,858 of these in the slabs. So that's another way of telling if these cards are rare or not, because if this number's lower, then it means there's less of them in this condition in circulation. But you can't always go by relying on that. If you was to scan a slabbed Pokemon card and it said there was only 200, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a really rare and really expensive card, because it might just mean that it's not a very sought after card. Not many people want it. So that's why not many people have sent them away to be graded in the first place. So you've got to bear that in mind. Sometimes when you scan a card and it comes up with only 300 in population, it doesn't mean you need to start celebrating that you found a really rare card. It just might mean that it's not a very popular card in the first place. So not many people have got them graded. So take that number with a pinch of salt. And like I said, the main thing is to pick up things that you enjoy. And I enjoy Pikachu the most out of all the characters. He's one of the originals, but he is the original, isn't he, really? It's the main character. So that is why I mainly stick to picking up Pikachu related things. And you'll see as we go through my collection that a lot of the stuff here is Pikachu. And that is because it doesn't matter to me if it loses value over time. I've enjoyed collecting it along the way. But we're going to go into here first. You can probably already guess the combination to get into here. 365. And this is where I have a very, very nice selection of slabbed Pokemon cards. Really nice box as well. I believe you can get these on eBay. I can't remember where I actually got it from now, whether it was eBay or whether it was from their website. But you can see that's the company there. If you're interested in picking one of these up. Really cool way of storing your Pokemon cards. But let's start having a look through these and see what we've got. Now, the very first card I want to show you is this one here. And I'm not going to tell you the reason why this one is a very special card. But do let me know in the comment section, if you know your stuff about Pokemon cards, why this is such a sought after card and what's so special about this particular card. The Pokemon is called Ho-Oh. And please leave your comments in the comment section on your reasons why you think this is such a sought after card. And I'll explain the reasons why it is at the end. But we've got that one as the first one in there. We've got this one here. Very, very nice looking card. These are all Gem Mint 10s in here. This one's not PSA. This is Gem Mint 9 from a random company that I've never even heard of. SRG grading. And the reason I got that in a random card I hadn't heard of is the PSA 10s of these go for a lot of money. More than I'm willing to spend on a Pokemon card in a slab. But yeah, the rest of these are Gem Mint 10s. And I purely picked them up because I like the artwork on them. And like I said, these aren't the most sought after cards, but they are the ones that I've enjoyed collecting. Really nice looking card there. Next we have Surfing Pikachu. Again, a really nice card, and I've got a real mix in this box. Some of them are Japanese ones and they have this back. Some of them are UK and they have that back. So that's how you can quickly tell if it's a Japanese card or a UK card by looking at the back. That's the UK and that's the Japanese version. But this one, again, is a really nice looking card. Surfing Pikachu, Gem Mint 10. Just looks really nice. I really like the artwork on these, and that is why I've gone for Pikachu the whole way through. Just because it's really nice to see different ways that he's been drawn into the cards. Really nice. Next we have Pikachu with the bubbles. Again, a really nice colourful card. I really like the background on this as well. Really cool looking card. And again, I don't really know what to say about these as we're going through. Some of these cost more than others. Edition 1 on there, that means it was a first edition on the print run. These are a little bit more expensive to get hold of. You can see it says first edition in the grading as well. So if you've got a card that's first edition, they do tend to cost a bit more of a premium, just because they're the first run in the printing of that card. Got a Pikachu there. It tells you the year at the top here, 2020. So a lot of these cards I'm showing you are not that old. So these cards you'd have to hold for quite a long period of time if you're hoping they're going to go up in value, because at the moment they're quite easy to get hold of. Really nice. This is one of my favourite designs. Look how cool it is with the Pokeball next to him there. Really stunning looking card. Another one there. Again, really nice looking card. And like I said, a lot of these I've just grabbed because I like the design on them, not because I think they're going to do really well in the future. Again, a really nice looking card there. I would be very interested as well to hear from those in the comments section that actually have Pokemon cards yourself, whether you have them from when you were in school or whether you started collecting them as an investment. This one's very nice. Look, it's got Pokeballs in the background of the whole card. Really nice. This one's a really nice looking card. You've actually got Charizard in the back as well. Took me a while to find a card that had Pikachu and Charizard. Charizard's one of the main characters as well in Pokemon. It's one of the most popular characters. When you're picking up graded coins, to get an original Charizard can cost thousands because they are really popular cards. But I thought it was quite nice to have my favourite character and one of the most popular characters on the same card. Now we're moving on to something that's not PSA. And the reason I picked this up is just because I love the presentation. This is from a different grading company. It's from Ace Grading. But I just love the way that the colours here on the actual grading label match the card. Really well done. Really flows very nicely. It's a 10 gem mint. But even though it still says a 10 gem mint, this will cost less than a PSA graded card. Just because PSA, like I said, is the most popular when it comes to grading and trading cards. It really does matter what company you're picking up graded pieces from. But this was actually a collaboration between the Van Gogh Museum and the Pokemon Company. They actually teamed up, and this was once upon a time, this was like a 600 or 700 pounds card, and that was because they were only given out for a limited time in the Van Gogh Museum. And it caused people to rush to this museum. They camped for days overnight outside. The queue went round the door, and people were just literally going into the museum, buying one item from the museum shop just to get the free cards. And the way that Pokemon, the company, stopped it from being so crazy, because people were just going in there, buying them and then listing them straight on eBay and on the secondhand market for extortionate prices. The way that they counteracted that is they just printed a hell of a load more of these cards. And then they started putting them on their website so that when you bought something on the Pokemon website, you got one of these cards. And they really just flooded the market with these cards. And it's a real shame because a lot of people got stung with these because they were buying them on the second-hand market as an investment, paying sort of £500 to £600, sometimes £700, because they were so limited. There wasn't many of them in circulation, and then suddenly when they got flooded the market with these cards, the value just plummeted, and now this is about between £100 and £200 cards. So it's still got quite a lot of value wrapped up in it, but people that paid sort of £600, £700 have lost a lot of money on this card, and it's a real shame because it turned it from one of the most collectible cards in modern age, because it's 2023, so it's a fairly new card, into a bigger loss for people that brought at the top. But still, it's still a very nice card. It's a very interesting story behind it, and like I said, it still does retail for quite a lot, but it's just a shame that they made it into not such a rare card anymore. Now, this is a very special card. This is graded by CGC, which is, again, a different company. This is probably the second most popular company after PSA, in my opinion. So still a very popular and sought after company. Still got the QR code on the back there that if you scan it, it will take it to the website and show you this card. And the reason I got it in a CGC and not a PSA is purely because of the cost. This is the original Pikachu from 1999. This is from the base set when there was only 102 Pokemon cards, the very first set of Pokemon cards that were released. And that is the reason this is such a sought after card. On there it says a circle, which means it's very common. If that was a star, it would mean it's a rare card. And there are rarer cards in the base set. You've got Charizard and things like that that retail for a hell of a lot more. But again, I picked up the Pikachu because I just love the character. And it's really nice to get hold of cards from the original base set as a PSA 10, because back then, grading wasn't a thing. Grading cards wasn't a thing that everyone did. So nowadays, when people buy these newer booster boxes, they obviously open them. Any good cards they send away straight away to get graded. So there's a hell of a lot more of them in circulation. Whereas back then, grading wasn't popular. Grading, I don't think, even existed back then. So to find PSA versions of the original cards is very, very hard, because people would have either damaged the card, they would have put them into albums, but they might have creased them as they did it. So there's a lot less of them available, and that's why they're so sought after. But yeah, very, very nice card. Probably one of my favourite cards. And like I said, the only reason I didn't get it in a PSA was just because I couldn't afford to. Well, I could afford to at the time, but I just didn't want to wrap up that amount of money in a card when it could go down in value. But again, really, really cool. One of my favourite cards in the collection. Now, I've also got another one of those, and that is a mint 8. So a couple of grades down from the highest grade, and that is a PSA. And this is actually an even older card than this one. Although they're both from the same base set, let me put them side by side. This is actually even older, and you can tell that because this says red cheeks and shadowless. Now, the difference is, obviously, you can see very quickly there, this one's got red cheeks, just there. This one's got yellow cheeks. So the very first edition of the Pikachu that came out in the base set actually had red cheeks. Not many people know that, but this was actually released before this one. And also it's shadowless. And what shadowless means is, you can see it on the picture here of Pikachu, you have a shadow along the edge here. Now again, the very first print run of these actually didn't have a shadow, so that's why they're called shadowless. So this is one of the very, very first cards that was ever printed when they first started printing the Pokemon cards. Now there's only one stage up from this, and that is a red cheek shadowless with a first edition written down here. Now, for those of you that remember, we have got one first edition in here somewhere, which is, where did he go? This one here. So you can see it says first edition. So the only way that you can get even earlier than this is if you have a first edition there. But those go for crazy amounts of money. Already these are quite expensive cards to get hold of, even in a Gem Mint 8. But to have a first edition there, that really would be the very first print run. But this is still a stunning card. I love that I've got this in my collection. Really, really nice looking card. And like I said, I couldn't bear spending the PSA 10 card because it is literally in the thousands. And I didn't want to wrap up thousands. Some of these cards are in the hundreds, but I didn't want to wrap up thousands in cards just because it's a very, very risky speculative play in my opinion. But there we go. That is my box of my slabbed cards there. I will leave this one out for those of you that have written in the comment section to see if you've got it right, why it's such a sought after card at the end. But this is my remaining slabbed cards. These are the ones that I've got out of this storage box here. They all go into here. And again, most of them are Pikachu, but there are a little bit of a mix in here. And what I love about these slabs as well is they actually stack. I didn't actually know that until I got a couple of them together. But look, they actually lock in really, really tight. Look at that. Really cool to see them all stacked up together like that. But yeah, like I said, these are all mainly Pikachu. Pikachu with his babies there. All Gem Mint 10 on these ones. And again, I picked them up just because I like the designs, not because they're necessarily going to be worth a lot in the future. Pikachu in the city. This is from a different set of cards. It's from the Old Maid collection. It was a playing card game that was brought out. It's an official Pokemon copyrighted game. And I just thought it'd be quite cool to have something a little bit different. I quite like the design on this one. Gem Mint 10 again. This card here, I've solely brought just because of the artwork. If you look at that, it looks like a scene from sitting around a campfire, doesn't it? Look at that. This is a Pokemon called Fletchinder, which is one of the newer ones, 2023, which I've never actually heard of until I saw this card. But yeah, I solely picked this one up purely based on the artwork, because I think it looked really, really cool. Look at that scene. Look at all the lanterns and the fire there. Really, really cool looking card. We've got a Mew from 2019. Another one of my favourite Pokemon. And then I've got a Mewtwo to go with it from the same collection. So we've got number 54 and number 55. Nice looking cards. We've got a Coffin. Now, the main reason I picked this one up was because it's my son's favourite Pokemon. Since my son started getting into Pokemon, for some reason, he really, really likes Coffin. So I wanted to get a first edition slabbed one from the original base set. You can see it's 51 out of 102 from the 1999 Pokemon set. And this is a first edition. This is only a Gem Mint 9, and that is again because it costs so much money to get these in PSA 10s, the first editions from the base set. I thought it was quite cool to have in the collection. And then we have another one of these Van Gogh ones, and this is a PSA 10. So yeah, that is my entire slabbed collection of Pokemon cards. Apart from the one that you can see in the back. And I've left that till last because this is one of my favourite pieces. And this is actually a framed set of the original, what they're called starter Pokemon. And that is because when Ash, for those of you that have seen Pokemon, Ash is the main character. This is Ash over here. When he first went to pick his Pokemon, before he picked Pikachu, these were the first Pokemon that he had a choice to pick from. Bulbasaur, Charmander and Squirtle. And again, for those of you that have watched Pokemon, you'll know that Squirtle was actually his first choice. This one had already gone. He tried picking up the other two, they had already gone as well. And the last one that was left was Pikachu, so that's why he ended up with Pikachu. But yeah, these are actually very, very special cards, and that is because they're from the original base set. They're shadowless, so like I said, they're one of the first print runs of these cards, so they haven't got the shadow down the side here, and they're all Gem Mint 10s, and they actually arrived in this frame. When I brought them, it was a collection, and the person had actually had them professionally framed, so you can see that they fit in there really, really snug. It's a really heavy duty picture frame as well, really solid wood. I won't be putting it on my wall in my house. This will be going into deep storage, wrapped up to protect, because it is one of my favourite pieces that I've ever brought to do with Pokemon. And I wanted to protect it as much as I can. But yeah, absolutely stunning collection there. Really, really proud to have that in my collection. Let me know what you think about that. A little bit different to have them in a frame. A lot harder to store. Most people, I think, would probably put that on their wall, but I don't really want to risk it. If someone broke in my house and took that, there's quite a lot of value wrapped up in that piece. So yeah, really, really nice piece in my collection. Now, the last thing to show you, and I'm going to try and go through this as quick as possible because this video is already over 30 minutes long. I knew it was going to be a longer video today, but I don't want it to go too long. But now let's move on to my albums. Now, these are probably the favorite part of my collection, I'd say. And that is because this really brings back nostalgia. For those of you that used to collect Pokemon cards when you were in school, you'll know what I mean when you start seeing these cards. But these aren't graded, these are just in an album. But we'll start with this one. And this is actually the original base set of Pokemon cards. There's absolutely every single one in there. Like I said earlier, there's 102. See, that one says a star on there. That means it's a rarer one. But yeah, 102 in total. And in this album, we've actually got every single Pokemon card from the base set. And this will really bring back some memories for those of you that used to collect Pokemon cards back in the day or watch the program. Absolutely incredible collection. When I got this collection, there was a few cards that were a little bit worse for wear, and I actually swapped them out. So they're still not perfect. There are a few little scuffs and things like that on these cards. You can see a little crease in there and a little scuff here. But the ones that were really battered, because I brought this collection as a full collection a couple of years ago, the ones that were really battered I actually swapped out. So they are still fairly good condition considering the age of them. This is from 1999. One of the originals there, it's actually got a shadow on it. But yeah, absolutely incredible collection. And it's just nice to flick through this and remember all these cards that you used to collect when you were in school, when you were younger. But that is the very, very first Pokemon cards that were ever released. And I also have the next two that were released as well. We have a fossil set here. And in the fossil set, there was 62 in total. And this is the full set of the fossil cards. Absolutely stunning collection. Really, really great artwork on these cards. I feel like some of the newer Pokemon cards that are released these days don't have the level of detail that they used to have. They don't have as much effort put into them. Some of these cards, that's one of my favourite cards there, Dragonite. I think there's a shiny version of Dragonite as well somewhere. Did I see that one? Yeah, there, look. You can tell it's a fossil set because it says this in the corner. It's got a picture of a skeleton. But yeah, again, incredible collection. Real nostalgia going through these. And this is the full collection, like I said, of the fossil cards. That's one of my favourite ones. I really love the artwork on that. Look at that Psyduck and that one. The artwork is absolutely incredible. Really, really nice to look at. But yeah, I can do a video in the future going through these collections in more detail if you'd like, so let me know. So that is the complete fossil set. Like I said, in there is 62, and then we're moving on to the jungle set, and there is 64 of those. And again, this is a complete jungle set, and they have this little logo there in the corner. That's how you know it's a jungle card. And again, this is the full collection of the jungle Pokemon cards. Absolutely incredible collection. It's been a real joy going through these and getting them out of storage and reliving my childhood. And I've enjoyed showing my children these as well. So there we go. So these are literally the first 3 full sets of the very first Pokemon cards that were released. Like I said, you've got the fossil full set, and at the back you've got the jungle full set, and then you have the very original base set here. So very proud to own them. They do seem to be holding their value very well. This one in particular, I'll have to do another video as well where I go through the prices that I paid for certain pieces, and we can kind of do some recaps every few years to see if any of them are going up in value or how they're performing. But I do know that I think I paid around about £300 for this original base set, and that was 2 years ago. And when you look now on eBay for good condition full sets, they retail between £300 and £400. So I think probably even £350 is probably the cheapest you could get a good condition full set for now. So I've either maintained the value that I paid for this, or it's slightly gone up. So that's quite nice to know over 2 years that I haven't lost value in holding this in my collection. But there we go. We're going to wrap the video up there because we're coming up to 40 odd minutes now recording. But I hope you enjoyed the video. We're going to quickly circle back to this card, and I'm going to let you know the importance of this card. Now, for those of you that have watched the very first episodes of Pokemon, the Indigo League, for those of you that remember, and you might not even remember because this was a long time ago that this was on TV, but I know this now because I've been watching this again on Netflix. But on the very first episode, on the last part of the episode, there was a Pokemon that flew across the sky. And I might even put a picture up here now to show you the screenshot of the scene. And it flew across the sky, and Ash and his friends were saying, "Wow, what is that?" And no one knew what it was. And it wasn't until a whole year later that they actually announced what that Pokemon was and put it on a playing card. So this was the Pokemon that flew across the sky at the end of that very first episode. It is Ho-Oh. And the reason I got this in Japanese is because this was the first time it was printed on a card, and it wasn't until maybe a year or a few months down the line after that they brought it out on a UK card. So that is why this card is so collectible, and that is why a lot of people like this card in their collection, because although this was shown on the very first Pokemon programs, it wasn't actually on a card until like nearly a year after. So yeah, quite a cool little backstory of that card, and that's the reason I wanted it in my collection. Let me know in the comment section again if you got that right before listening to that little bit. But yeah, we're going to wrap the video up. Thank you very much to everyone that's watched. I really appreciate those people that aren't interested in this sort of thing still watching along. It's something a little bit different. It's a little bit of a different side of my investments. And again, do not put money into this stuff unless you're enjoying doing it, because there's no guarantee that anything I've shown on today's video is going to go up in value. It could just plummet to zero if people suddenly stop enjoying collecting Pokemon cards. You're really relying on people still enjoying collecting Pokemon. And if I had to give you one little kind of tip, if you did want to start dipping your toes into buying some Pokemon cards that could go up in value, I would say focus on the very original cards. Focus on picking up some PSA 10 versions from the original base set. Some of these shiny ones, Charizard goes for literally hundreds of thousands, so maybe skip that one. But just have a look for some of these very original, the first ones, the ones that have 102 down there. Try and get some of them slabbed in PSA 10s, because they're a lot harder to get hold of, because like I said, back then grading cards wasn't a thing. So to find these in PSA 10 condition is a lot harder to say some of these newer cards where people are literally opening them and getting them slabbed straight away. Now it's almost ruined the grading side of collecting, because people are buying these collections to open them, to send away to grade and then to resell instead of actually collecting themselves. So there's so many more graded cards in the modern and up-to-date versions of the Pokemon collection, because that's what people are buying them to do. They're buying them, opening them, grading them. Whereas before, people were buying them to collect and play and trade in school. So that is why I'd say to you, look for some of these in PSA 10s. But apart from that, I can't really give you any tips or any advice on collecting Pokemon cards, because I'm literally just winging it. I don't know how this is going to perform over a long period of time. Some of these pieces I've had for, like I said, 2 or 3 years in my collection, and I'm still not sure without researching them all to see if they've even held the value that I paid for at the beginning of buying them. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Just forgot, I've got some of these as well. These are from Happy Meals. Kept them sealed. Again, these will just go in the loft, and I'll see if people want to buy them in the future. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope you all have a very nice day.